Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shereen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking this evening: stock markets remain sluggish around the world. European Central Bank looks set to hike policy rates by 75 basis points. Crude oil prices decline to a 7-month low amidst fears over a fall in global demand.
I think, first of all, it's a very special company. Nothing in my past could fully prepare me for it. But at the same time, a lot of things that I've done in the past that I could bring to bear for this company.
The incoming CEO of Starbucks, Lakshman Narasimhan, says he's ready for the top job and the opportunity for growth is limitless. Starbucks founder Howard Schultz says they found the right person. He's never coming back to the company. That's a CNBC exclusive. Large parts of Bengaluru remain inundated even as floodwaters recede in some areas. Electricity and drinking water supply yet to be restored in many parts. The Met Department predicts more rainfall over the next few days. The Union Cabinet cuts the railway land license fee to 1.5% from 6%. The lease period has also been increased to 35 years. Shares of Container Corporation rally in trade as the move reduces its cost burden. The Rakesh Gangwal family is set to sell just under 3% stake in Indigo through block deals tomorrow. Sources say the selling price will be at a discount of over 6% to the current market price. Insurance regulator IRDAI mandates selling new policies in DMAT form starting December this year. Sources say all existing policies will be dematerialized by December 2023. That's an exclusive. The government is set to announce new guidelines for social media influencers who endorse brands and products within the next 10 days. The head of the Consumer Protection Authority says an influencer must provide disclaimers and will be treated as an endorser. Any violation will result in penalties starting from 10 lakh rupees. The group chairman of Standard Chartered expects Asian economies to do better than the West in the short term, but also adds that Asia will depend on the West for most of the demand. He's also bullish on India and expects global inflows to continue. The Income Tax Department conducts searches at the Centre for Policy Research in Delhi, a 40-year-old prominent non-profit think tank. Sources say tax officials also searched the independent and public-spirited Media Foundation that provides financial support to media organizations like The Caravan, The Print, Economic and Political Weekly, among others. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi begins a 3,500-kilometer walk across the country over the next 150 days. Arvind Kejriwal launches his new campaign, Make India Number One. And we take you inside India's first ever sneaker convention in Mumbai to understand how sneakers are turning into the new asset class. A special report coming up. Well, let's start the day with the market action. It turned out to be a range-bound session on Dalal Street. Markets ended with marginal losses for both the Sensex and the Nifty. Bank stocks leading the decline and auto stocks giving them company. But the mid-caps did manage to buck the trend for the second day running. So that was the picture on the screen at close. But onto the money market, the Indian rupee weakened marginally against the dollar. The rupee has been declining for the last few days, but it's yet to breach the 80 mark against the greenback yet again. All major currencies declining against the dollar, which has been gathering strength over the last few weeks. 79.90 is where it closed. A quick check of some of the other headlines. The European Central Bank poised to deliver its biggest rate hike in 2 decades. A hike of 75 basis points is expected this week as the ECB attempts to tame rising prices. Inflation in the Eurozone hit 9.7% in August. And the big story from the crude markets, crude oil prices declining to 7-month lows as demand concerns and possible global rate hikes keep traders on the edge. A marginal cut in production that was announced by OPEC nations earlier this week has done little to stem the fall in prices. In fact, Brent crude dropping below $90 a barrel. So that's the big story coming in there from the crude markets. Here's the big CNBC exclusive this evening. Just days after he was announced as the new CEO of Starbucks, Lakshman Narasimhan says he's ready for the top job. He sat down with CNBC for an exclusive interview along with the iconic founder Howard Schultz. Narasimhan said the opportunity for growth is limitless and he's looking forward to going on tour of Starbucks outlets across the US to understand the company's culture. Schultz said they found the right person and he's never going to return to the company. Take a look.
I don't know if you can answer this honestly. What is the part that you're worried about most? This is a big job for you.
Sure. I think, first of all, it's a very special company. Nothing in my past could fully prepare me for it. But at the same time, a lot of things that I've done in the past that I could bring to bear for this company. The one thing that I wanted to be sure of is that, that there would be investments made in order for us to renew the partner experience, in order for us to rethink the customer experience. And some of the things Howard has done ever since he's come in terms of some of the bold decisions he's made me actually a lot more comfortable. So I'm at peace.
How is this going to be different than last time, as they say, Howard? And the reason I ask is there have been periods where you have left Starbucks, you've appointed a new CEO. For whatever reason, it didn't work out, and you decided you had to come back.
Yeah.
That's now happened twice. Why is this different?
Well, first off, I'll tell you why it's different. I am never coming back again because we found the right person. But the ambition of Starbucks is much grander than ever before. And the leadership team, coupled with Laxman's leadership, it's much different than ever before. Also, in 2008, when I did come back, Starbucks was in a much different position. We did not have demand in our stores. We have record demand today. Laxman's coming in with the wind at his back. And so the growth of the company, the equity of the brand, the significant position that Starbucks occupies in China is very, very different. But, Andrew, I'm not coming back a third time. Laxman is here. I'm here to support him. And as I said before, we found a #1 draft choice, the best possible candidate in the world to lead Starbucks.
You're going to put on the green apron and get behind? You've done it already? How are your barista skills?
Oh, you know what? I've got 30 hours of barista training. I'm quite nervous about. It's the thing I'm most nervous about because I want to do that really well. And so, yes.
You've had 30 hours of training already?
No.
You have to
I'm going to, when I come in and do this program of immersion, it's 30 hours of barista training, which I'm going to be going through.
How big Starbucks in India now?
350 stores in India. You should say what happened about the announcement in India.
Oh, there've been many, many memes. I've had many suggestions like you would not believe.
What kind of memes? What are we talking about?
And we're talking about,
how proud people have been.
But the memes being new coffee?
Well, I've got a lot of suggestions. A lot of suggestions of what I need to do.
Okay. Well,
I come from the hometown of Pune, where all the stores close from 1 to 4, and they've been telling me that I should shut all stores from 1 to 4 in honor of my hometown. That's not happening, by the way.
Well, that's Lakshman Narasimhan with the iconic Howard Schultz. Narasimhan takes over as CEO from Schultz, will be heading Starbucks. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman inaugurated the US-India Business Council's annual summit. Speaking at the event, the Finance Minister flagged an uncertain global economic environment as a key challenge for India, adding that no country is immune from the global turbulence. She is hopeful, though, that inflation will not spring any more negative surprises. She's identified job creation and wealth distribution as the top priorities for the government.
Mutual understanding, particularly at a time when the world is so divided, and the world is so engaged in such activities which you think who exactly would want these to happen. But when it is happening, none of us feel empowered enough to stop it. So we are at very severe challenging times, and therefore I would think such engagement at this level will only further strengthen common shared values between India and the US. Inflation is not red-lettered. I hope it doesn't surprise many of you all. We have shown that in the last couple of months, we were able to bring it under some manageable levels.
Well, that's the Finance Minister. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the Minister of State for Electronic and Information Technology, says the government will undertake extensive consultation before relaxing data transfer and data localization norms. Remember, this has been one of the key demands of the US to ensure a free trade agreement. Chandrasekhar added that the aspect of digital sovereignty and data protection of citizens needs to be considered before tweaking the data norms. Take a look.
We will obviously undertake extensive public consultations before we do the new data protection law and indeed the Digital India Act. But we know what our national interests are. We know what is required for us to grow our economy into a $1 trillion digital economy. And there will be some counterbalancing interests from other countries. We will talk through those. Our interest is not very, very different from what the US wants. But there are certain areas that we have to look at, which is digital sovereignty, our fundamental right of our Indian citizens to protect their data.
In a much-awaited decision, the Cabinet has approved a policy for long-term leasing of railway land under the PM Gati Shakti program. The new policy will help provide land lease for a longer period of up to 35 years, as against the current 5-year tenure. The license fee has been cut as well. Parikshit joins us now to explain what this means. Parikshit, explain the decision taken by the Cabinet and what this hopes to lead to.
Well, this has been something that has been in the works for at least 6 to 7 months now. It was being pushed by the Finance Ministry, by Niti Aayog, and it was pending approval at the Prime Minister's office. Now, what has been done? The railway land license fee has been reduced from 6% to 1.5% of the market value of land per annum. Now, this does not mean that it automatically comes down to 1.5% for all existing entities with agreements. It will be still 6% for existing entities, but if they apply through the competitive bidding process, then they will be eligible to get the new land license fee of 1.5%. The other positive, the lease period has been extended to a 35-year period. Now, many of the investors who were looking at a strategic sale of Concor had this concern that the land license fee is too high and the license period is too short. So it is widely believed that this will clear the decks for the strategic sale of Concor as well. At the same time, within 90 days, this is what the government has promised, that this will be formalized and notified as well. And 300 PM Gati Shakti cargo terminals will be built over 5 years as a result of the tweaking or the reform in the railway land license fee policy.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. A quick check of the other headlines this evening. The Rakesh Gangwal family is set to sell under 3% stake in Indigo through a block deal tomorrow. The size of the deal is around 2,000 crore rupees. Shares are being offered at 1,850 rupees per share. This is a discount of more than 6% compared to today's closing price. The Gangwal family had made it clear, Rakesh Gangwal had made it clear that they were looking at offloading their stake, and they had said that it would be in a staggered fashion. So this is the block deal that is expected to happen. 2.8% stake that the Gangwal family holds in Indigo Airlines will be up for sale. The Supreme Court has appointed Justice P.V. Reddy as a mediator in the share transfer dispute between SpiceJet and its former promoter Kalanithy Maran and his firm Carl Airways. The protracted legal tussle started after Maran transferred his entire shareholding in SpiceJet to the current promoter Ajay Singh. Later, Maran and Carl Airways moved the High Court demanding that SpiceJet transfer the 18 crore warrants redeemable as equity shares to them. Last month, both parties made a joint request to the Supreme Court asking the court to appoint a mediator, and that has now happened. Here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive tonight. The Group Chairman of Standard Chartered expects Asian economies to do better than the West in the short term. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18, Jose Vinales also added that Asia will rely on Europe for most of its demand. He's also bullish on India's growth prospects and expects global fund inflows to continue.
Look at Asia. India is a case in point. It's an economy which is doing extremely well. The growth prospects for India, both this fiscal year, 23, and 24 fiscal year, are very good, with some moderation of growth next year. But still, you know, such a large emerging market with such high growth rates, this is something which is very hard to find in the world. And I think that this is something that bodes well for Asia.
Yes, the CNBC-TV18 exclusive tonight. New insurance policies must be sold in demat form, just like stocks and mutual funds, from the end of the year. Sources say the IRDAI has mandated dematerialization of insurance policies after meeting with companies. Yash joins us with more details. Yash, what is the IRDAI proposing?
Well, just yesterday, CNBC-TV18 had exclusively reported on the meeting between the insurance regulator and insurance industry heads, both life and general insurance companies. The agenda was very clear. That was to ask insurance companies to mandate issuance of insurance policies in a dematerialized or a demat format. The latest that we've been given to understand from our sources is that the insurance regulator has asked all life and general insurance companies to issue insurance policies in a demat format. There are timelines which have been set as far as this particular mandate is concerned. So as far as the timelines are concerned, by December 2022, that is December of current calendar year, insurance companies, the new policies which they issue will have to be issued in a demat or a dematerialized format. And as far as the next timeline is concerned, a year after that, that is after December 2022, that is by December 2023, all the existing or the old life and general insurance policies will also have to be transferred or converted into a dematerialized form as far as these particular policies are concerned. It is a major move towards financialization of insurance, giving a lot of advantage to policy holders in terms of having all their policies in a dematerialized format in one account. Also, as far as this particular dematerialization of policies is concerned, that would be done with various depositories. Some of the big beneficiaries of that particular move would be depositories like CDSL, NSDL, Carvi, as well as CAMS.
All right, Yash, many thanks for joining us. Large parts of Bengaluru remain inundated even as flood waters recede in some areas. Electricity and drinking water supply yet to be restored for thousands of people. Flood waters seem to have receded at the busy outer ring road where several large IT companies are situated. However, this relief could be short-lived. The Met Department has forecast heavy rains and thunderstorms in Bengaluru over the next 2 to 3 days. All primary and high schools in the east zone of the city have been instructed to remain shut due to heavy waterlogging. Ritu Singh reports from one of the worst affected areas in the city.
I'm coming to you from the Belandur area of Bangalore, which has been one of the worst impacted because of the incessant rains. What you see behind me is one of the many areas that have been completely submerged in water. We went inside a short while back and the citizens there have been telling us that water suddenly flooded their homes, knee-deep water at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the night, and all they could do is grab their children and just rush to safety. So huge losses faced by them.
छोटा छोटा बच्चा है, हमारे कर खाने वाले हैं, हमें भी हाँ वो पानी दबा से आया तो बच्चे को कैसा लाना, सामान कैसा लाना, हमें हाँ हमारे बोले तो आज में पानी आता है।
सामान सब घर पे रहा, हम लोग ऐसे ही निकल गए, ऐसे सो रहा था, सोने का टाइम पानी आ गया। बहुत लोगों को तो पानी पी लिया, यही पानी पता ही नहीं चला रूम पे पानी आया बोल के, इतना बुरा हाल था। इधर तक आपका इतना पानी था, पूरा ये साइड पूरा एरिया था, बंद था पूरा। अभी फिलहाल खाना पीना सब लोगों के लिए हम लोग को तकलीफ हो रहा था। 3 या 4 डेज से पावर नहीं है, खाना नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है, ऐसे पानी का नीचे है, कोई भी देखने के लिए भी नहीं आता है। नॉर्मल तो आते हैं, आके देख के चला जाते।
गवर्नमेंट का कुछ यहाँ होना चाहिए सपोर्ट, लेकिन अभी तक कुछ गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट यहाँ पे नहीं किया। बाकी साइड में तो थोड़ा हुआ है, लेकिन यहाँ पे अभी तक कुछ सपोर्ट नहीं हुआ। न पीने का पानी है, न रहने का जगह है, कम से कम वो तो देना चाहिए गवर्नमेंट को। अभी तक यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं हुआ,
बिजली नहीं है, पानी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, बहुत दिक्कत में हम लोग है। हम बगल में हमको खाना दे रहे हैं नेबर लोग।
हाँ, और यहाँ पे कुछ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी
कुछ नहीं 3 दिन से नहीं है, जब से पानी कुछ नहीं है।
And what you see behind me is actually the Belandur Lake, and the residents here have been telling us that water levels were actually above that bridge that you can see over the last few days. Of course, now they have come down a bit. What this situation and currently in Bangalore has brought to the focus really is the consequences of unplanned urbanization. The civic authorities have already identified illegal encroachments of 500 storm water drains. So that is the kind of consequences that the city has to now suffer. And with predictions of more heavy rainfall over the next few days, it is unlikely that the citizens of this tech city are going to see relief anytime soon. With camera person Manjunath in Bangalore, this is Ritu Singh.
And the chaos continues in Bengaluru. The Income Tax Department has raided the offices of think tank Centre for Policy Research, international NGO Oxfam, and the Independent and Public-Spirited Media Foundation, which provides financial assistance to several news outlets. Timsy Jaipuria joins us now with more. Timsy, what do you know about the search that is being conducted by the Income Tax Department across these offices?
Well, that's right. Sources told us that the Income Tax Department conducted survey at Centre for Policy Research in Delhi, one of India's leading policy think tanks since 1973. CPR is a non-profit independent institution dedicated to conducting research. The governing board of the centre includes Meenakshi Gopinath, Yamini Iyer, Subodh Bhargav, Sham Saran, Vinita Bali, Sham Devan, Rakesh Bharti Mittal and others. Simultaneously, survey action also took place in Bengaluru at Independent and Public-Spirited Media Foundation. The foundation provides financial support and seeks to mentor digital media entities in creating and disseminating public interest information. The grantees includes the Caravan magazine, the print, EPW, Swarajya and many more. Let's see what is the final outcome of these investigations as they are still underway.
Timsy, many thanks for joining us. Now, the government may announce new guidelines for social media influencers who endorse brands and products within the next 10 days. Nidhi Khare, the chairperson of the Consumer Protection Authority, told my colleague Timsy that an influencer must provide disclaimers and will be treated as an endorser. She said any violation could result in penalties starting from as high as 10 lakh rupees. Take a look.
Under the CP Act, it is very clear that if it is a misleading advertisement and it amounts to violation of consumer rights, or if it amounts to unfair trade practice, then nationally the same penal provisions will apply to a social influencer as well. For the first offence, it could be as high as say 10 lakhs, depending on the kind of influence that he's been able to make. And for any subsequent, it can be up to 50 lakhs. There can also be an order of restraining the endorser from making any such endorsements for, say, from a period of 1 year to 3 years.
All right, so guidelines coming in from the government to rein in social media influencers. Time for us to head into a short break, but up next we take you inside India's first ever sneaker convention in Mumbai to understand how sneakers are turning into an asset class. Back in a moment. Tech giant Apple all set to reveal a new range of products at an event later today. This includes the much-anticipated iPhone 14. Arjun Karpal is here with what we can expect. Arjun.
Their upgraded camera, they may potentially ditch the notch and a faster processor as well. So these are not going to be groundbreaking updates, as has been the case for several years with the iPhones, but maybe enough to get older users to upgrade. And that's going to be very much the key story around the iPhones. But it's more than just the phones. Of course, Apple continues to create this ecosystem of devices, and we're expected to see a new Apple Watch, the Series 8 as well. The big surprise here could potentially be a Pro model for the watch, a slightly more premium device, and even a larger face for the watch itself. Apple clearly trying to entice people into these higher price models as well, and reportedly potentially a new set of Apple AirPods Pro. But really the question is going to be about the demand here at a time with concerns over recession, the cost of living crisis, and weaker economic sentiment as well. We'll be watching the price closely, and we know Apple prices are never cheap, and so we're not expecting Apple to drop the prices in any sense. But this is where the company has an advantage here. Firstly, it's playing in the premium segment, one of the only segments in the smartphone market to see growth. Recently in Q2, phones over $1,000 grew 94% year-on-year in terms of shipment. The second advantage here is that sticky user base of over 1.2 billion iPhone users around the world. They love Apple products. They love to upgrade to Apple products. And now this might not necessarily appeal to iPhone 12 or 13 users, but certainly those on iPhone 11s or older could be enticed to upgrade. And this really is where that services story comes into it. As I mentioned, that 1.2 billion user install base for iPhones, Apple continues to be able to get recurring revenue out them through their software and services business. That has been key to the company's growth story and will continue to be key for investors going story. So Apple will relaunch those devices later on. We'll be watching closely as to how they're priced and to what some of those new features are, guys.
Arjun, many thanks. Now, sneakers are turning out to be a very popular asset class. Yes, you heard it right. In these times of market volatility, sneakers are seemingly crash-proof, at least among the youth. Mangla Malu attended a sneaker convention in Mumbai to understand more about the buyers, sellers, and the opportunity.
I'm used to reporting from outside of stock exchanges, but tell you what, this is an India sneaker convention which is taking place, done by Main Street Marketplace. What people do out here are buy and sell sneakers. How old are you?
11.
You're 11, and how many sneakers do you have?
More than 7.
More than 7. How much money have you spent on sneakers so far?
5 lakhs probably.
5 lakh rupees? Do you buy and resell them as well?
No, I just, I don't sell, I only buy.
You want to see more excitement? Get in. It is Disneyland for a bunch of people we now call sneakerheads. Guys who are addicted to buying sneakers and selling them as well.
We have about 5,000 people who actively buy and sell with us. Consumer-wise, we've sold to 35,000 people and customers.
This is a culture which is growing, a market size of almost $2 to $3 billion in India right now. It's a global culture and it's only catching further steam in India. And these physical events are happening now that COVID is behind us. What kind of revenue your business does?
We're about 3 months from hitting a 100 crore annual run rate. On that, we pull about a 20% gross margin.
What is it that you think is driving this culture?
So, I mean, everybody's heard of a SaaS business. That is very popular right now, software as a service. We run something known as a SaaS business. It's status as a service. It's almost a primal instinct to want what other people have. I mean, the question that really drives this is what do you do after you've made all that money?
This one is a collaboration with Travis Scott, a Nike Air Jordan 1. This one would set you back by a good 1,40,000 rupees. Yes, 1,40,000 rupees for this pair of shoes. Supreme. So Supreme has collaborated with Dunks, and out there, this is what the shoe looks like. You have a couple of stars made out here with the Supreme logo here, and this shoe would set you back by 1,30,000 rupees. Pierce the resistance out here in this sneaker convention are these Dior shoes actually, which have, as you can see, a Dior logo out here. The Nike logo too has collaborations with Dior insignia. These shoes will set you back by 7 lakh rupees. If you're wondering what shoes worth 7 lakh rupees look like, this is what they are.
7 lakhs for a pair of sneakers. That is not an asset class that I'm willing to invest in. Manglam, it's all yours. With that, it's time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned. The news continues here on CNBC-TV18.